So I really just try to create hopes and intentions. I know there's going to be a lot of change, and that's something I really want to cling to this year. Come to him with such trust in his plan. I want to get back to healthy home cooked meals. I really want to enter into that season with such a cheerful heart, trying to keep it as minimal as possible. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to go over with you my hopes and dreams for 2025 and just intentions that I want to implement. I will say this feels like the hardest year to come up with resolutions / hopes, because it is going to be the year with the biggest change in my life. I am 32 weeks pregnant, 33. So I am about to enter into so much unknown, becoming a mom and managing being a wife with that, working with that, and really just that whole life change that it brings. But on the flip side, it also feels like there's so much anticipation and excitement for this new year. So I am not the biggest goal person, so I really just try to create hopes and intentions and overall kind of ideas that I would like to really implement. I don't do crazy goals like work out 5 times a week. I tend to fail at those immediately and then I never follow through. So what's more helpful for me is just to have an idea of what I want and then slowly, intentionally, week by week, implement that. So I found that doing that last year was so helpful for me. Last year was a big year of change for us. We moved from Georgia to Tennessee. I became really intentional with working out, with eating much cleaner, and overall just really trying to live a more rest-filled life. And I felt like that was kind of my entry into it. And now I kind of want to go deeper with that, with the understanding that a lot's going to change and I can't have too many expectations. So before we get into it though, I would love for y'all to comment down below what your overall theme is of your New Year's resolutions, or you can comment some specific New Year's resolutions that you have. I just would love to see what you guys are being intentional about, what's important to you this year. With all that being said, let's get started. So like I said, this year is going to be very unexpected. These are not really my plans. It's more just my hopes and intentions that I think are realistic. So I made one overall goal, and then within each facet of my life, like marriage, becoming a mom, finances, spiritually, physically, they all kind of go into how I'm going to make this overall desire work, if that makes sense. So overall, my main intention is to have a slower, peaceful life through being prayerful, selfless with a cheerful heart, and trusting in the Lord's plan. I feel like that's the thesis of my life, but I know there's going to be a lot of change, and that's something I really want to cling to this year. More specifically, something that within my marriage I want to be super intentional about is being intentional with my words with my husband. So I am not a words of affirmation person at all. I am a quality time girl. I just want to be with you. Let's do something. I really appreciate when people help me out or think of me. Words do not come easy to me. And my husband's #1 love language, of course, is words of affirmation. So I know that we are about to enter into a huge change and doing that together. And so I want to all the more be able to still think about how can I fill his tank. If you don't know, my pregnancy has been quite challenging. I was sick for about 20-25 weeks. I still get nausea here and there, but it's nothing terrible. For the first 15 weeks, I was bedridden, and that gave me a glimpse into what a mentally challenging time looked like within our marriage for a long period of time. I've been sick, and I feel like you never think about anybody else when you're sick, but that usually lasts a week. I've never had such an extensive period of time where I've just only been thinking about myself. Naturally, I was feeling so sick, so terrible, and my husband really stepped up, which I'm so grateful for. And he was taking care of me on top of working and all these things. And so that gave me a glimpse into what probably the postpartum newborn stage is going to look like. It made me realize, wow, I need to still figure out a way that I can love him well. I just really desire to do that because I know how hard it is. And I'm sure that season will be quite challenging. And I really want to prioritize our marriage still. I really want to just keep that at the forefront of my mind. Okay, so within the category of becoming a mom, something that I really want to implement is being a prayerful mom. I think that I can often neglect prayer. I can sometimes be like, well, God's going to do what he wants to do, so why ask? But that is so, one, not biblical, because God calls us to pray. And two, I feel like that's a slight twisted view of God. And so I really want to come to him with such trust in his plan, no matter what, if my prayers are answered or not, but still be mindful of praying, and especially specifically over our daughter, over our marriage. There's so much power in prayer, and I feel like I forget that very easily. That's definitely something I struggle with. Okay, my next goal is I really want to be an anxious-free mom. I am a very anxious person, and I've been so surprised by, I feel like, just God's kindness that he has allowed me to just really trust him fully in this season of pregnancy. I really anticipated being such a mess, so anxious all the time, but I really haven't had much anxiety at all, and I'm so grateful for that. And so I'm really hoping that that will carry over into becoming a mom. And I just feel like throughout this pregnancy, I've just had so much peace that like the Lord has her in his hands, and I'm gonna steward my pregnancy as best as I can, but ultimately trust that like he is her daughter before he is mine. And I find so much peace in that. And so I really pray that that continues through becoming a mom. I would love to be just a place of peace for my kids and not add to any worries that they have or create any worrisome experiences for them, which we're gonna make mistakes, but I just want my kids to see in me the true freedom that Christ can give, which is total peace, since he is the Prince of Peace. Okay, next up is financially. I really want to spend less going into this year. Around this time of year, I always feel that. There's all the expenses that Christmas brings. On top of that, I feel like this is when things are due. Property taxes, and I just feel like a lot of really hefty things. And then on top of that, this year we've been doing a kitchen renovation. We're currently in it, so I'm feeling all the expenses of that, and then doing the nursery and buying all these things for the baby. So with that being said, I really want to spend less and be really intentional about building our savings back up. We've had lots of conversations about it, and just having goals around that I think will be really helpful, but at the same time it's also really hard because I will be taking maternity leave, and when you're self-employed, taking maternity leave means you don't get paid. So it's kind of that balance of like trusting that the Lord will provide, but also being intentional with our money, especially in a time of having less income and also having all kinds of new expenses with a baby. So one of my goals spiritually is just to have a servant's heart. I know that having a baby and becoming a mom really challenges you to sacrifice yourself. Like you are giving so much of your time, energy, everything to keep this baby alive and loved. And so I know I'm already entering into that season, but I really want to enter into that season with such a cheerful heart, not only as I give to her, but I think it's easy that you feel like you're giving so much to your baby that then you don't want to give anywhere else. And I really want my heart to still be overflowing with giving and cheerfulness because of what Christ gave. Like I have a never-ending well that I can reach into, but I think it's easy whenever you're in a time of really struggling or just feeling like you're giving up a lot to not give with a cheerful heart. And so on top of just like sacrificing as a mom, I also still want to be intentional with how can I serve my husband well? How can I serve my family well? Meaning like my parents who are nearby or my siblings. How can I still serve my church well and people in our lives, like our small group? And obviously it's going to look different than I can now, but maybe it's in small ways of praying for them whenever I'm up in the middle of the night, or just keeping the bedroom tidy because I'm a mess and my husband loves places to be tidy. And so just having that mindset, ultimately with the heart of being a cheerful giver. And then physically, I really want to prioritize rest at the beginning of postpartum. It can be really hard for me to just like chill. I'm sure I'll be tired, so that will be helpful. I really just want to prioritize healing and not like being okay with doing nothing, you know, just me, Sam, and the baby. And I think that's going to be such a special time. And then after I have rested, I really want to focus on recovery. That can look like so many different things for so many different people. Just everybody's birth experience is different. In 2024, I did a lot of physical work, like working out, growing my muscles with the intention of carrying a child. And so I'm praying that that will help my postpartum recovery. But additionally, I would love to get back to the place that I was. I'm not talking weight, I'm not talking size, I am talking about just like that I'm able to work out at Orange Theory and go to the gym. It was so good for me mentally, physically, and I felt so strong, and that's my goal, is to really recover well. And then another physical goal is just to eat more clean. I feel like in this time of pregnancy, I kind of let that go, especially towards the end, just because, well, we also like haven't had a kitchen for a very long time, and just like we've just had a lot of things coming up to where we've been eating out more, which is so unlike us. Like we used to never eat out in the middle of the week. It was only like on weekends. And I want to get back to having healthy home cooked meals. And so I've slowly but surely been like doing freezer meals and adding to that stash so that postpartum we have those available, because I was not prepared for the challenge that pregnancy would bring, especially in the beginning. So I think just bringing that intention back will be super helpful. Okay, last thing that I don't really have a category for is I just want to be more minimal overall, especially with my wardrobe. Like I just want to keep it simple. I have found that I just go to the same things and the things that I love and wear all the time, and I'd rather have quality over quantity. So doing that really overall in my life, whenever it comes to products or even like groceries, I find that I can like, our pantry can fill up so fast. And so being intentional about like using the items in our pantry, and then even with baby stuff, trying to keep it as minimal as possible just to avoid clutter, to overall just feel more at peace, keep things easy and not so like, I don't know, I feel like my brain can get busy when there's just like a lot of stuff. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to do in this video was to share some verses that I'm clinging to that are all relevant to my goals, so that not only are these just thoughts in my head, so that I can actually have verses that bring such life, but I really hope that maybe these verses will be helpful for you. If you're also wanting to implement any of these things, you can have something that is true to actually cling to other than just an idea. So the first one that I've mentioned a lot is Proverbs 17:22, and it says, "A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up bones." Then Romans 12:1, I love this verse. I just think as a believer, it's great to cling to. And it says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." I feel like in those late nights, I'm gonna need that encouragement, because I'm gonna feel exhausted. I'm gonna feel like I am truly offering my body as a sacrifice, and realizing that this is such a God glorifying thing and a beautiful thing that I can be doing, I think will be great encouragement in those nights that are really long and hard. And then this verse is more about serving. So it's Philippians 2:4-8, and it says, "Let each of you look not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. Let this mind be in you, which is also in Jesus Christ, who, being in the form of God, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant and coming in the likeness of man. And being found in an appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even to death on a cross." I feel like these verses are saying like even Christ humbled himself literally to the point of death. And I feel like that gives me such encouragement to also do that and look out for the interests of others and not just my own. And then this verse is really what I think about for any relationships in my life, especially my marriage. And it is the typical marriage passage, but I specifically love the very last verse. And this is 1 Corinthians 13:4-7. And it says, "Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth." And then I love this last verse. It says, "Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things." There's so many things in this verse that I know I will cling to whenever I'm struggling in any way, whether it's discomfort or just being really tired or whatever. I can become resentful and irritable. And this is just such a great reminder that that is not coming from a place of love. And I really want to focus on not letting our marriage become a place of bitterness during this time. I think that's a really common struggle when going from having no kids to having kids. I really want to live out the very last part that it says, "Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things." Like believing the best in my husband and truly enduring a challenging time and keeping Christ at the center of that. Okay, so the last verse verse. I really love this one, and this is great for anytime I'm feeling worried or anxious or just, I don't know, a little off. This verse always brings me so much comfort. It's Hebrews 4:16. Let us with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in a time of need. We are literally told that we can draw to the throne of grace. So imagine a true king. He is inviting you to come with confidence to his throne to ask for help. What a kind and loving God. And I think that in those moments where I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious, like I often think I want to hide from God, you know, he is so holy and divine. But through Christ, we can draw near to the throne with confidence and ask for grace and mercy in a time of need, which is just such a beautiful thing. And I often need that reminder. So those are just some verses that I am going to be clinging to this year. If you guys have any specific verses that you're clinging to, I would love to also hear those down below with your New Year's resolutions or goals or intentions, whatever you want to call them. I hope this video was encouraging and helpful to you and maybe gave you some ideas as you go into 2025. I hope that this year brings such abundance that you find so much grace with the Lord. And honestly, there's no true peace like living in God's grace and mercy. So I really hope that over you guys this year and all the years to come. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.